Hello, good morning, sports bettors. It is Matt Modi coming to you on this beautiful Saturday morning, obviously with OddsJam. And what I'm going to be doing in this video, locking in some sharp NBA player props for today. So I got 4 NBA player props total for today, Saturday, August 22nd. What I will say is that the NBA has gone incredibly well for me so far. Granted, the season is still young, so don't want to rest on my laurels just yet. But the first 4 days or so of the NBA season has gone really, really well for me, as evidenced if we go to my bet tracker. We can see for the week, I am up just above $2,000, which is incredible. Basketball alone, I'm up about 12,800. Obviously, $2,000 of that happened this week. It's been amazing. So let's keep the luck going with these NBA, player props. The first one that I'm going to lock in here is De'Aaron Fox under 1.5 made three-pointers. So this one was plus 128 on BetRivers. It is now plus 125. It is still positive expected value because the Nova gods price this at about plus 115. So any number that is above this plus 115 number would be positive expected value. Obviously, the bigger the gap between these two numbers, the higher your percent, the higher your edge over the sportsbook. But let me go ahead and lock this one in. De'Aaron Fox under 1.5 made threes. This is just going to be a half of a unit play. So for me, $50. For you, whatever a half of a unit is, that's what you should put on this one. So let me just lock in the bet first. That bet has been placed. So let's chat about this one. So the reason why I like this one, but the reason why I only put half of a unit as opposed to the recommended bet size. So it's still positive expected value, right? The Nova gods priced this at plus 113. We got it at plus 125 at BetRivers. But we can see a little bit of so BetRivers has it at plus 125. Pinnacle Sportsbook, the sharpest sportsbook in the world, has it at minus 121. Majority of books actually have it in between these two numbers, like DraftKings plus 105, 20 cents lower than BetRivers, but about 20 cents less favorable than Pinnacle. Same thing with BetOnline at plus 106 and FoxBet at plus 105. Generally, when you are positive expected value betting, you want to bet on outliers. And this plus 125 is still an outlier if you compare it to the rest of the sports books. But so is this minus 121. So instead of betting the full recommended unit size that it's telling me, I just split the difference and put about half of a unit on it. All in all, still a very good play, obviously. The percent here can be viewed as your expected profit margin. So for me, putting $50 on this one, I could expect to make about $2.65, something like that. Obviously, not breaking the bank. And if the bet wins, I'll either get all my winnings, so I'll get the $62 in profit, or I will lose my $50 in stake. But over time, you will learn that your expected profit starts to equal your actual profit. So tracking it is helpful to understand where your bankroll should be and where your profit should be over the course of time. So first play, De'Aaron Fox under 1.5 made threes, plus 125 at BetRivers. The next one that I really like is this Jrue Holiday over 7.5 assists, plus 102 at FanDuel. This one is going to be about 3/4 of a unit. So for me is $75. For those of you at home who don't feel like doing the math and calculating 3/4 of a unit, you either want to put half a unit or a full one. I would probably round down to half a unit as opposed to up to a full unit. But the play, Jrue Holiday over 7.5 assists, still a really good one. Nova gods price it at minus 104. Obviously, we got it at plus 102 on FanDuel, giving you an EV percent of about 3%, expected margin of about 3%. But you can see the difference in outlier of this play, the Jrue Holiday one, versus the De'Aaron Fox one, right? Plus 102 is what FanDuel is offering it. Pinnacle at minus 126. BetOnline at minus 112, still for minus money. DraftKings at minus 120, still like heavily favoring the over side of this. And DraftKings is actually pretty good, specifically with player props. So I like to use DraftKings to kind of show what a true market of a player prop should be, along with BetOnline, along with Pinnacle. Caesars at minus 129, heavily favoring the over. Same thing with BetMGM. The only book that has it closer to FanDuel is PointsBet at plus 100, which would still be a positive expected value play at plus 100. And then a less so FoxBet at minus 105. But all in all, this FanDuel line at plus 102 is a pretty good outlier. Drew Holiday obviously has to do a lot more on offense with Chris Middleton still out. So I like him to go over this one. Just pick and roll with Giannis, guaranteed like 4 assists a game. So my second play, let me add this one to my bet tracker. I put $70 on it. And for this one, I put 50 on it. Forgot to add it to my bet tracker. The dashboard that I showed you earlier is where all that information comes from the bet tracker. There's actually a really cool new feature that I'm going to do a longer length video on, but you can actually sync your sportsbook. So if you click this button, you can actually sync your sportsbook. So as soon as you place a bet, it gets automatically added to your bet tracker. But I do a longer form video about that. So for my 2 plays so far, De'Aaron Fox under, 1.5 made threes, Drew Holiday over, 7.5 assists. Let me refresh this, make sure that I have the constant up-to-date lines. And the next one that I was going to lock in here was this, unless the odds changed on me, which is possible, was this Donovan Mitchell over 5.5 assists. So not great odds at minus 130, but I still think this is a really, really good play. So I'm actually going to put a full unit on this one. I'm going to go to PointsBet and lock this one in for a full unit. I think this one is definitely worth the full unit. I'll explain why in a little bit. Let me just make sure that this gets locked in. So they only let me get a roughly 65 on this one. But for those of you at home, this should be worth a 4-unit play, or excuse me, a full unit play, a 1-unit play, not 4. But the reason why I like this one, so obviously the math checks out. No big odds at about minus 131. We got it at minus 130 on PointsBet. So there is, even though it's a little bit smaller, there is still a gap between these two numbers. And look at where the other books price it, right? BetOnline minus 145, DraftKings minus 160, Pinnacle minus 154. They all price it significantly higher than the minus 130 we got at PointsBet. And then just for handicapping purposes, Darius Garland is going to be out for the Cavs, so Donovan Mitchell is going to have a lot more of point guard duty than he normally would, obviously with a fully healthy team. So his assist total, granted you're paying for it at the minus 130 odds, is probably lower than what it should truly be priced at. Our projections have him going over. We have this bet hitting at about a 50, just below 57% rate. So I like this one, Donovan Mitchell over 5.5 assists as my last, or my second to last play. Let me give this one last refresh and see if the play that I was going to lock in. And here we have it, Joel Embiid over 11.5 rebounds. Embiid's had a horrible start to the year. Admittedly, trust me, as a Sixers fan, I intimately know that he's had a horrible start to the year. But you figure a player as good as Embiid is going to get it going. And it hasn't really, his rebounding has still been fine. He had 15 rebounds in game 1. In the game against the Spurs, where the Sixers are heavy favorites, they should win by a lot. You figure there are going to be a lot of missed shots, a lot of rebounding opportunities for Embiid, who they're going to want to get going. So this play, minus 115 at PointsBet. DraftKings all the way at minus 145. BetOnline kind of has it in the middle at minus 128. Pinnacle has it at minus 140. This is going to be another 3/4 unit play. So I would like to put 75 on this one. We will see. So they let me get 57.49. But for those of you at home, this should be roughly a like 3/4 of a unit play. Of course, if you do want to round, again, don't want to put the full unit, you don't want to do the math of 3/4 of a unit, then just round down to half a unit. But I do like this one. So the no big line prices it at minus 118. PointsBet has it at minus 115. So still a gap between these two numbers. And I talked to you about the outlier. I talked to you about why I like it for basketball reasons. So that is going to be it as my 4th and final NBA player prop for tonight. And that's it. So if you're tailing these, good luck. Let me know. Would love to hear it. Comment on the video with your feedback. If there's something that you didn't like, that's fine. Comment on the video with your feedback. But other than that, appreciate you guys watching. Enjoy the NBA slate today and have a good one.